Hi Pisces, welcome to your week ahead Taroscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. Remember, they're general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody. That is just fine. Use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you all on your paths to your highest vibrational good. So, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves ya. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share. And if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. Your key to the week this week is the Devil card, Los Diablo. Right, so whenever the Devil card shows up, it means that we are, yes, it can be addictions and it can be obsessions and it can be very primal energies that are out of control. And obviously we're going to, we'll sort of read this in the context of the cards that show up. But as a whole, what I've observed through my experience and through a lot of the client work that I do is that the Devil card very often shows up when someone believes that there's only one way to do something and they hold so rigidly to that that they effectively do what we call here in the UK, it's like you cut your nose off to spite your face. So watch out for that rigidity this week, right? It's not something that you're known for, to be fair. The Piscean way is usually escapism. So watch out for your own overindulgences or your escapist tendencies this week. Now, in terms of your actions and options, you've got the Ten of Wands, right? Like literally escapism, right? Let's talk about this ability that you have to kind of check out of reality sometimes. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes it's actually, it saves people's lives, being able to just detach or compartmentalize. But the Ten of Wands as an action card, one way that this might show up this week, you have a situation going on, and rather than acknowledge where things are actually at, you just kind of throw blind optimism at it. Like, oh, it'll work itself out. It may not, Pisces, and this is something that you really do need to pay attention to. The other thing as well, in terms of the options that are available to you, you might have an option or an opportunity to speak up on something this week. And I have to be honest, it's the Ten of Wands. Whatever it is that you do say or divulge or share or point out or put forward, because you can be very insightful when you want to be, right? You're very perceptive anyway, and very intuitive, but you tend to kind of shy away from the harsh reality at times. And so this week it's like you might make an observation that for you, it's like, well, you've asked me to give you an honest observation, and you give it and the person's like, oh, like they get really offended, they get really taken aback, it creates a bit of friction or tension. Don't be afraid to upset the apple cart this week. I actually think that might be the best way forward for you, if I'm completely honest. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Two of Wands. Okay, love this. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you in terms of this Ten of Wands, just because I feel like some of you are like, okay, but what are you saying, Raf? What I'm saying with this combination is your usual way is to flip around it and not necessarily deal with it head on. And this week you're being encouraged to deal with it head on. What you would usually do that you rely too heavily on is not going to cut it this week. When it comes to your communications and conversations, there are so many great opportunities that are opening up for you. I'm talking about job opportunities. I'm talking about travel opportunities. This with the Ten of Wands is lovely because it means that where there has been a stagnancy in terms of work, in terms of the profession, in terms of academia, even in terms of money and finances, things are about to really start to get good for you. But that Devil card is going to require you to flip the script. It's going to also require you to get into some of that healthy obsession where you kind of say, okay, you know what, this sucked up until now, but here's what I'm prepared to do about it. And then you start doing it. It's about really not taking the passive route this week. We're talking so far, it's all wands, right? Wands are about action. They want you to move. They want you to get started. They want you to get ahead. Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, that Two of Wands and the Ten of Wands, work placements, all of those things could be considered for a select few of you. This might also be that you start thinking about the practical ways that you can apply the knowledge that you're gaining now, right? It's like, how do I do something with this at this moment in time? How do I start making this happen in the here and now? When it comes to your, those of you that are employed by somebody else, you could be rubbing some shoulders this week. And if that's something that you're not usually comfortable with, I challenge you this week to go against the grain, right? If you're not really one to, I don't want to sit with the bosses or, interact with them too much, like this week you're being encouraged to do that. This week you might find yourself rubbing those shoulders with those powerful people that can really help you get ahead. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this is great because, again, you're rubbing shoulders with affluent people. I'll be honest, with the Ten of Wands, you might be the person that's still got a little bit of mud on their shoes within this circle, but there's nothing wrong with that. Don't ever be afraid to be that person, because it's going to force you to level up. It's going to teach you things that you didn't know, and it's very likely going to help you gain some traction in the areas that you would like to. All right, so don't ever shy away from being the dumbest person in the room. Don't ever shy away from being the person that says, you know what, I don't know, so I'm going to ask the question. I mean, that's how I live, right? I'm always the question, but I'm asking, because if I don't know, what's the point? For those of you that are retired and no longer working, this will be a financial conversation, potentially around a financial commitment. I think for a lot of you, something is going to be made very starkly clear this week, and it might, if I'm honest, it might be a little bit of a shock to the system. In that, you might see something and think, wow, you know what, I really didn't see how I was viewed, or this situation really is, or whatever the case might be, and it will likely have something to do with your resources. For your love and relations, you've got the Queen of Cups, nurturing the relationship, nourishing the relationship. With the Devil card here, maybe you and your partner are overindulging in something that maybe you've been overindulging for a while. Maybe you've been going on the binge, and whether this is drinking or food or whatever, smoking, whatever the case might be. There's a lot of comfort that is being made up for in the relationship with things that aren't necessarily good for you. So my advice would be to approach this and say, what do we both at this moment in time feel is lacking from the relationship? Once you understand what that is, the binging will stop immediately. All right. When it comes to those of you that are single and looking, it's the Queen of Cups. So likely to be a fellow water sign, Pisces, Cancer or Scorpio. My money is on this person being a Cancer, just for a few reasons. One, the Queen of Cups herself is Cancer, but more importantly, it's opposite the Devil card. The Devil card is Capricorn. What is the direct opposite of Capricorn? Cancer. So my money is on this being a Cancerian person that you could connect with this week. And Cancerian people are wonderful for Pisceans, because there's a deeply sort of connective, loving, warm, watery, sensual vibe. It's just easy. It will flow very, very nicely. And then finally, for your money and materials, you've got the Two of Pentacles. So don't step outside of your budget this week. Really do pay attention to it and ask yourself, it's not about whether you've done enough in your budget, it's really about whether you are actually sticking to it. It's almost like you've got something there, but you're like, oh, well, it's just a guideline. And so therefore it's not really able to create the safety net that you're looking for. And I will say, I do think between now and December of this year, start building that safety net. Start really getting an emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. Start doing all of that stuff now, so that you are able to kind of move forward. All right. Now you've got this with the Two of Wands. 2 2s represents a bond, a pact, or an accord. So there's potentially a financial potentially a financial partnership that could be formed this week. With the Devil card here, just make sure that you're not overextending, right? Partnership requires equality. And if it's not equal from the start, then it's not a true partnership. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this with the Devil card, please, for the love of money, watch out for your knees this week. I mean, like, really look after them. Make sure your footwear is right. Make sure that your knees in general, you know, whatever you're doing, just make sure that you're looking after them, because this week there's a potential that you could feel it. When it comes to your home and environment, this is really considerations about what you're going to do on the home front, where you're going to live, how you're going to live there, how much you want to pay, how much you're willing to pay. All of these considerations are coming up this week, and I think once you have them in place, you will start getting really clear on your finances. There seems to be a lot in this read about money this week, so I'm intrigued to see how it goes. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. If you want to get a personal session, you can do so on the link in the description box below. Take care, and I'll see you soon.